All right, hi everybody. I think I'm live. So my name's Elise, and I am going to be teaching from my sunroom in my condo. I wish I could be with you personally, as I'm sure that all of you wish you could be with, whomever personally instead of having this social distance going on, but we're all making do, and I think we're doing all right. So wine and yoga. You may not be able to see my wine glass, but I do have my full glass of wine. The bottle's behind me. It's just about empty because I started it last night, so drinking up. It does also still say Timber Hill Top Fan. If you want to be a top fan, join in Timber Hill's Wine Club. I highly recommend it. Lots of good wines out there. So we're going to have a typical practice tonight. It's going to go for about an hour. Might be a little lower key than what you're used to if you do have a home practice, or if you've practiced with me before at Timber Hill. It'll be very similar. We're going to do a lot of floor poses. We're going to focus a lot on the hamstrings tonight. Get moving around, because I think a lot of you, especially you teachers, have been sitting at a desk teaching virtually. And we're just going to be real thoughtful and mindful about everything that we're going to do. So if you've had practice with me before, you know that we start grounding first and foremost. So you don't have to sit like I am. And maybe if you're, well, I know you're at home. So at home, even if you're sitting on a chair or anything like that, absolutely fine. But be mindful of your posture. So that being said, we're going to adjust our shoulders, let them relax. Sit up nice and tall, regardless of what you're sitting in. If you are on the floor, legs can be crossed. You could have them outstretched. It really doesn't matter. I'd like you to close your eyes though. And of course, I can't see you. So if you decide to cheat and keep your eyes open, that is fine. But find something to focus on and let that focal point soften. So you're not like just staring at it. So we're going to take some moments here. Just think about the space that you're in, being grateful for that surroundings. Kind of think about how your body is feeling. Feeling any stressful points. Let them relax. Let your muscle groups soften. Begin to slow your breath down. Allowing each breath to be very deliberate. I'm going to take those breaths in and out through the nose. And maybe pick up on some new smells, whether they're good or bad. So maybe somebody is cooking in the background. Maybe your windows are open on this fine day. You have breezes coming through. And as you deepen that breath, let your whole torso expand with it. Best part about our breath is we're never in any hurry for it. In fact, the more hurried your breath is, the more overstimulated you can get. We want calming mindfulness in our breath. Let your exhale be slow. As our body physically continues to relax and our breath is slow and steady, we can feel how our energy level is. So depending on how your day was today, maybe you're still feeling kind of keyed up because you've been cooped up. Or maybe since it was sunny out today, you had a chance to get outside and you're just grateful for the sunshine and the warmer weather. Check in also with your emotions. We all realize that these are stressful, uncertain times. And change is inevitable. but it's how you approach that change that can really affect you. Having a positive outlook, knowing that things will be okay, and just take some time to familiarize yourself with asking for help if you need to, and accepting help when it's offered. So we're going to take a couple more deep grounding breaths. Get ourselves all situated for tonight's practice. And feel free, obviously, to have your wine whenever you like. Some of our poses, I'll even try to incorporate the glass in there like we always do at Timber Hill. All right, let's start warming up a little bit. So we're going to take our head and tipping it down to our chest. We're just going to warm up the muscles through upper back, upper neck, getting rid of some of the tension that you might be carrying if you have been sitting at a desk today. Taking deep breaths still. And lift our heads back up. Take the top of the head up nice and tall, and then tip the back of the head back a little bit. Soften your face. Let those cares and worries, especially between the eyebrows, slip away. Depending on where you're at, you might even be practicing outside. That would be great. Sun shining on your face. Lower the gaze back down. We're going to turn our head to one side or the other in rotation. Keep that steady breath going. If you've crossed your legs, anytime's a good time to recross them the other way so the other hip opens up too. And let's turn to the other side. Take another deep breath again. And come back to face our centers. We're going to sit ourselves up really tall and relax the shoulders and move them back. And then tip the head, so ear to shoulder. We call this lateral flexion. And sometimes our bodies need a little extra, so if you want to, you can take the hand and reach it to the head. Just gentle opposing pressure. It doesn't have to be a forceful tug. And I'll show you another way to do this too as we go to the other side. Then direct the head back up. And then we'll tip the other direction, lateral flexion. So now since I tipped the one way, I'm going to take that opposite hand and press down. And take another deep breath. And we'll bring the head back up. And then roll your shoulders around. We're going to go both directions. You can do that at your leisure. I'm going to switch, going the other way. All right, so we're going to lean back on our hands, and we're going to take our legs out toward the front. Knees are bent, and have your feet on the ground and a little wider than your hips. So we're going to take those legs and just tip the knee in toward your center. Let the whole leg move as a unit, though, so you're not rolling at the ankle. And then tipping the other knee in. Loosen up our lower bodies. In case, again, like I said, if all of you or any of you have been sitting for prolonged periods of time, get things loosened up a little bit. At your own home, you could be playing some soft music for yourselves. I actually have a yoga playlist for myself going. just because I enjoy having some music as I practice. Some instructors will say it's too much of a distraction, but I have such a connection with music that to me it deepens my practice. Do a couple more on each side. And we're going to change our position down to the ground. And as I did that, my line just happens to be within reach. So why not, right? So a little tidbit information. This morning I donated blood. So that's another reason why we're going to kind of keep things low key. That wasn't probably too good at timing on my part to donate blood and then come to a yoga practice, but why not, right? All right, constructive rest pose. So knees are bent, please stay on the ground, and then take your time. Let your spine connect to the ground as slow and independently as it possibly can without any gaps. That's good for the core because that's where we're going next. All right, so we're down on the ground here. I'm going to give my hips a little shim back and forth. Do the same thing with your shoulders, just so you have as much surface area connected to the ground as you can. Taking some deep breaths. And as I mentioned, core is where we're going next. So we're going to find the top bony part of our pelvis. And yep, sometimes there's a bunch of flesh to push through to find it, and that's all right. Then we're going to take the lowest part of our rib cage. We're going to bring that pelvis and the rib cage in toward each other. Flattening out your back as much as you can. I want you to keep the back of the legs and your bottom soft here. So you're really shortening up your muscle groups in the core for that pelvis to move. I might be going over some instructions a little more detailed. And that's just in case there's some newbies out there who have never done a yoga practice before and wondering what it's all about. We'll tip back again. So as your back flattens down, don't do it with force, just let it happen naturally. As your pelvis is relaxed and going the other direction, your low back will reestablish this natural curve. You can even give it just a little bit more of a boost. I'm going to do a couple more before we go into what we call dead bug. I love dead bug for a number of reasons. And our last one here, we're going to take the pelvis, give it that kiss to the low ribs, and keep it right there. So dead bug involves arms and legs, takes your mind completely off of any task that you might be thinking about, and it's great for working the core. So how it starts, we're going to take arms and legs straight to the sky. So palms are looking at each other. Take your shoulders, because they've lifted off the ground probably. Press them back into the earth. Then we're going to flex or bend, and that happens at forearms, come parallel to the ground. I'm going to do the same thing with my knees, going to bend, and now my shins are parallel. Now, sometimes if I'm walking around with students, I would adjust their knees if they're too close to their bodies or too far away. You'd like to have the knees lined up right over your hips. That's where it's most stable and the most challenging for your core. We'll take the opposite arm and opposite leg. So I'm personally going to start with my right arm and left leg and straighten them up to the sky. I haven't done anything else with my other arm and other leg. They're stationary. And then I'm going to bend or flex those. And I'm going to switch sides. Left arm, right leg. And as you notice, my other body parts didn't move. And then bend. So extension, switching sides, right arm, left leg. And back to bend. And switch sides. And back to bend. So now I'm going to match breath. So I'm going to inhale as I move. Exhale as I move. Inhale as I move. And exhale. You get the picture. It's fine to be silent. I want you to think about your inhales and your exhales. And those opposite movements, slow and controlled. Really focus on keeping your shins and your forearms parallel to the ground. Knees stacked over the hips. We're going to do a couple more on each side. Hang in there. Last one each side. Woo! Bring your knees into your chest. Let your back go ahead and curve. You can rock side to side if it feels good on your bodies. Couple more deep breaths. And then you put your feet on the ground and then check your surroundings. I have to check mine so I don't spill my wine or tip over my water. I'm going to stretch my arms long overhead, stretch my legs long. And we call this morning stretch. Pointing the feet, wiggle those toes, wiggle fingers, and let your low back extend itself up to the sky. You can move the hips again, side to side a little bit. Give really long length. Relaxing the core muscles, stretching them out. We'll take another deep breath. Then you're going to keep your left leg on the ground. We'll give our foot a little flex and bring the right knee and a hug into the chest. Roll around the ankle. Give that foot a twirl. And then we'll go the other direction. Then we're going to move into our half happy baby. So still working with that right leg, we're going to take the knee and move it out away from ourselves. Now take the right arm to the inside of the leg. Take your foot a little bit more toward the sky. And then take your arm to the outside of that leg. And just encourage, without force, I say encourage, that leg open and upward. So meaning knee toward shoulder. Don't allow your body to move over the direction of that leg. That's the tempting part, is our hips are going to try to roll with that leg and really keep that left side of the body anchored down. And give a point and flex to the foot. If your feet need some more working out, pretty soon be ready for sandals. I even painted my toes while I've been off for work. It's nice to have color on my toenails again. I'm going to take another deep breath. And you can gently release that leg. I'm going to stretch it all the way down long and back into morning stretch. Arms overhead. Fingers reach. Toes reach and spread. Low back up to the sky. And let's do the other side. So right leg has its anchor jab. Left knee comes to the chest for a hug first. And roll around the ankle. Other direction. And then into our half happy baby. Leg moves away from your body. The knee comes up toward the shoulder a little bit. Take that left arm inside and then wrap it around the outside so it has some assistance of moving away from your body and up toward the shoulder. And what are we doing with that right side? We're keeping it anchored down. Sometimes I even use it, with some encouragement with my hand on that thigh. A little feedback to make sure it stays put. And deep breaths, of course. If you're not somebody who likes to lay on the ground or you just don't do it very often, check out your surroundings in this new position. Maybe notice some, like I do, some cobwebs I need to get down off my ceiling fan. I'm going to take another deep breath. And bring that leg back to center, stretch it out. Morning stretch, arms overhead, feet flex, spread the toes. Give them a wiggle. All right, we're gonna roll to our side, and then you can push yourself back up, and we are going to move into tabletop, which is hands and knees. So if you're on a harder surface like I am, yes, that little pause was me drinking, and a sip of water too. As I was saying, if you're on a harder surface and it's uncomfortable for your knees, you can always take your mat, give it a little extra fold, and then your knees can be on that folded part. That won't be so tough on them. All right, so tabletop position. So we have our hands under shoulders, fingers have a nice little spread. We do that so we can feel the entire surface of the hands. And then hips are stacked over the knees. And I'm not gonna let my head drop with gravity. I'm gonna align it up so there's not so much pull on our necks. So cat and cow. And that would be rounding up to the sky. Let your head tuck here and pelvis rock. And then into that cow position where your belly comes down to the ground. Pelvis rocks up, and then you can lift your head up. Push yourself away from the ground up to the sky, rounding nicely in the spine. And the other direction. So we also match breath with movement. That's part of yoga, of course. So when you find that your body is open, you're breathing in. When your body gets closed, like right here, I'm going to exhale. Of course, you would go at your own pace because your breath might be very different than my own or whoever else is practicing with you tonight. We're going to do a couple more. You can be mindful of your feet too. Right now I have the tops of my feet on the ground. I'm going to take my toes under now. Let's go each direction one more time. You can really bend at the elbows. Sometimes we like our movements small in yoga. Sometimes they're big. All right, coming back to neutral. Tabletop. So a great move for those of you who have been sitting down at a desk. We're in flexion a lot, so think about a flex position. Rounding shoulders forward, our bodies are kind of curled over devices, phones, whatever. So we want to strengthen all the back muscles, our extensors. And to do that, we can do opposite arm, opposite leg. So I'm going to start my right arm and left leg. I'm going to extend them out, one in front, one behind. Notice your body all of a sudden starts to sway to one side or the other. Try to even out your balance. Breathing in and out through the nose, nice and smooth. And for all us ladies who are practicing tonight, this is great for bone density, muscle mass building. As we age, we know we're losing that. So good thing to do anytime that we can. Take another deep breath. And then back down to our tabletop. Add in a cat and cow move. Rounding spine. And dip in the spine. Back to our neutral. So now anything we do on one side, we'll do on the other. Here we go, extension, switching sides. Breathing deeply in and out, of course, through the nose. Stabilize your body evenly, weight-wise, on that knee and on that hand. We're going to take another breath. Back down to the ground. Add the cat-cow. Then we're going to come up to tall kneeling. So I'm actually going to turn my body this way. Making some adjustments to my clothing. All right, so I want you to check left and check right that you have space to stretch your leg out. So we are going to come into a nice side body bend. So we're extending a leg out to the side, and it's kind of deleting directly out, so it's not too far in front and not too far in back for stability. Take the back side of your pelvis and let it tuck down a little bit so you're not hyperextending your low back. Arms up to the sky. Take a deep breath. Reach up nicely tall. Take a couple deep breaths right here, getting through those ribs. And then we're going to take that arm, let it drape down toward that extended leg, reaching your fingers up a little bit more, and tip your body over toward that extended leg. Now notice if you've gone forward and your butt starts to stick out, get yourself lined up so everything's in a simple plane. Now if your head is tired from looking one direction, you can look up, you can look down. Just find a comfort level, reaching those fingers. You can probably feel it all the way, starting at the very top of your pelvis. And we'll take another deep breath. Now we're going to add movement, and during your movement, you can stick your bottoms out here. So your arm is going to sweep down the ground, and you can let your bottom follow suit by sticking out. Make a big arc with it. Up nice and tall. Follow your gaze and the fingers. Like I said, if you're brand new to yoga, which welcome if you are, it's great. Yoga tries to incorporate all the body parts and planes and movement. So a very forward moving community, human race, I would say, in general. So trying to get the sides of the body, the back of the body. Around one more time. All the areas that we might forget. We remember them as a child. All right, arm up the sky, reach up. And you can tuck those arms back down and tuck that leg in. So before we do the side, just feel the difference from one side to the other. That's the other thing too. There's always some pause. Just get to know one side to the other and how the effects are. And we'll stretch out the other leg. Again, mindful of how you're setting yourself up. There's never any hurry. Take a deep breath, arms skyward. We'll pause here, reaching up. Of course, that back side of our tailbone is going to go down so the bottoms are sticking out, protection of our back. Then we'll take the arm onto that leg, reach up a little taller with those fingertips, and stay in your plane, side body bend. Change your gaze. So I know you probably can't hear my music, but one of the songs just said, "Don't you worry, let it go." I think that's why also I like to have music going. There's so many messages in the lyrics of music. I'm going to take another deep breath. All right, let's add that flow. Remember, the bottoms can stick out. Going around and around. Couple more times, making big circles. And next time you have the arm to the sky, you can bring the other arm up. We'll reach up nice and tall. And take a deep breath. then arms are gonna come down. We're gonna tuck that other leg in and we're going into child pose. So bottoms will come down toward the heels, and then you can either stretch your arms out long in front of you or they can reach to your sides. It's all personal preference. Ideally, your head should rest on something. So as you go down, if you have trouble with the knees, you can open them wide. You can stack your hands. Obviously, mine will be on the ground. And let your forehead rest on there. So I'm going to turn my body so I have the whole mat to use. I'm actually going to open my knees wide, let my belly fit down in between, and let my forehead rest to the ground. We'll take a couple more deep breaths here. This is a nice chance for you to feel the backside of your lungs working, where they originate, your spine, lifting that portion of your back upward. And we're going to lift up. If your legs are wide, go ahead and bring those knees back together again. We're going to come back to that tabletop position that we were in earlier. We're going to set ourselves up for downward facing dog, but I'm going to go through it again, just in case some people are brand new to this. So we have our fingers spread nice and wide, so you can feel the pads of your fingers as well as the beefy part of those wrists. Some people put too much pressure on their wrists, and that's why they have trouble with them. You want to transfer as much weight as you can to the pads also. Take the toes underneath. Make sure you can feel all the toes. Bottoms are going to go back toward our heels, keeping your spine long. So as long as I'm trying to push myself away from my hands and the mat, then I'm going to lift my knees up off the ground and begin to lift my hips up toward the sky. At the same time, heels are going to try to reach the ground. Now, they may never do that, and that's okay. That's not the point. But you're encouraging them to. Back of the legs are moving back toward the room. At the same time, you are still pushing yourself away from the ground. So your sternum is coming toward the ground. Let your head relax. And again, check out your surroundings. Upside down. New perspective, new point of view. If you're comfortable here, you can pedal the feet a little bit so each heel lifts and touches the ground. I'm going to do this a couple more breaths. Everything in yoga is measured in breathing, so it's just a reminder. Inhale, exhale. So if your legs are moving, go ahead and bring them stationary. We're going to bring the body forward into a plank. So you can have legs straight in a plank, meaning off the ground, or you can have the knees down. If you put the knees down, it's very different than tabletop. You simply lower them down, and that's still working the core. We're going to take a couple more deep breaths. Again, weight bearing, core strength in a plank. We'll take one more inhale. And as you exhale, lift bottoms back up. Push your bodies away from the ground. Think about the heels moving toward the earth. Downward facing dog. We're not going to be here long though. We're going to look up to our hands. And now we're going to walk those legs up. Bend your knees as much as necessary until you're toward the top of your mat. And we're going to take our time because we've been down on the ground this whole time. Me especially, because I have low blood pressure right now from donating. And roll up to standing. So we're going to walk through the position called mountain pose. When somebody looks at somebody else in mountain pose, they think they're just standing there willy-nilly. There's a lot going on. Starting with the feet, toes are spread a little bit. Think about your arches lifting upward away from the ground. We have our leg bones rolled open a little bit. And we warmed up the pelvis, so that's A tuck in the back, a little lift in the front, engaging core. As you move up the spine, you move the shoulders back and lifting the crown of the head all the way up to the sky. And we'll take some deep breaths here. One more inhale and exhale. And then we're going to leave our left foot facing at the front of our mat. We're going to take our right leg and take a nice generous step back behind you. And as you do that, we're going to take the back edge of the foot, line it up with the back edge of your mat. And if you don't have a mat with you, you can use a reference point of heel to either back portion of your arch or even toward the heel. So this is our stance that we're going to use for our warrior two legs. Next part is we're going to bend our knee. It's going to go the same direction as our toes, and it's going to end up over our ankle. We're not going to ignore this back leg though. Keep it active by trying to roll it away from yourself. All right, take the hands at your heart. We call these a mudra anytime that you involve your hands. This happens to be our Anjali mudra. Namaste prayer hands. All right, up to the sky we go. You can look up and then open those arms wide. So now the arms are going to be parallel over your legs, relaxing the shoulders. I just noticed myself in my bat wing arms on my shirt, kind of funny. All right, so take your gaze over that front arm, looking over that long middle finger. I said this is warrior two. It's a very common traditional pose in yoga. There's a lot for strengthening the legs. Cores are engaged here too. So you might think warrior is conflict, and it kind of is, but not in the war sense. It's the struggles of internal, external emotions. I'm going to take another breath and we'll add movement from here. All right, so movement-wise, straighten the front leg and bring the arms to the sky and look up. And now exhale back to our warrior two. Inhale breath, reach up nice and long. Get yourself as tall as you can. And then exhale. So involving those legs as you go up, squeeze those muscle groups to the bone and squeeze the leg bones back into your hips. Couple more. So we're having some stretching of our hip flexors in that back leg. Hip flexors are involved and we sit too much as our hamstrings. They both tighten and shorten. Pause right here. Bring your arm down toward that thigh. Move your body away from the shoulders so you're not collapsing into it. And then take that other arm straight up to the sky. Again, gaze-wise, whatever's comfortable in your neck. Down, forward, up to that hand, wherever. I'm going to take another deep breath. So we're going to turn our entire body toward the ground. As you're doing that, I want you to pivot your back foot so it too is facing forward. So now you have a long back leg. Your knee is bent, it's still stacked over that ankle. Fingers are on the ground. We call this a lunge. Encourage that back leg to reach behind you as well as up to the sky. And getting into the front portion of that strong thigh. We'll take another breath. And we're going to take a big step forward. You're going to find yourself at the front of your mat in a fold, soft fold, so knees are still bent. Take your time to roll up. We'll take a deep breath here in our mountain pose. We're going to do the other side, but I'm actually going to switch to the other side of the mat. so I don't have to have my backside to you. So I'm coming up here, and here's my wine and water. Good time for intermission. Wondering, when you make comments on Facebook, tell us what you've been drinking tonight. I see there's a new bottle out. I think I have one coming. I'm not sure. A friend of mine was putting in an order for delivery. And thank you, Timber Hill, for delivering. My goodness, what a service. So during all this, I emphasize still supporting our local small businesses. I work for a small business, and even though I've been off, we still are getting some orders for printing. We really appreciate it. All right, so we are switching to the other side. We have foot facing forward, back foot took that generous step, and we're going to line up back edge with the back edge of our mat, or heel, instep, or heel toward heel. Then bending that front knee. Back into our warrior for the side. Hands at the heart. Good time to be grateful for something, right? Grateful for so much. Up we go to the sky, and then the arms open. Now I like to tell people that as you're practicing, one side of the body is always going to feel very different than the other side of the body. It's going to be stronger, more stability, maybe better balance. So always be gentle, especially when you're starting something new, and how critical you are with yourself. You can be grateful for the strength that you have, the way your body does move. I'm going to take another breath and we'll add movement. All right, straighten that leg, arms skyward. Remember, squeeze those legs into the hips. You're activating all of our muscle groups. Of course, we're moving with our breath, inhaling, exhaling. We'll do a couple more. Last one, go up. We'll hold it in our warrior two. Settling those shoulders. All right, let's make that connection. Onto the thigh. Remember to move body away so you're not collapsing in the shoulder. And then reach in the arm to the sky. Change your gaze if your head's tired at all. We have another breath to take here. All right, so remember we're going to come down toward our mat, pivoting everything, including that back foot, to face the same direction. That runner's lunge. So anytime you're not sure where your body parts are, check them out. So I'm making sure that my knee has stacked over my ankle, and I'm taking that opposite hip and pushing it back. I didn't mention it the first time, but runner's lunge, a lot of times our hips tend to pop out on that side that we have and the leg front forward. So just make sure it's moved to the back. We'll take another deep breath. And we'll take that big step forward. So we're going to be in forward fold for a little while here. If the back of the legs are still feeling tight, it's always fine to have a slight bend of the knees. Let your arms relax, let your head relax. I'm not going to let mine go down all the way because I don't want my blood pressure to get too low. So I'm actually going to keep my head a little bit higher than my heart. I can still work on the back of my legs though by using my pelvis, moving it more toward the sky. Lengthening my legs as they warm up, never forcing anything. And then rolling up the rest of the way. So it wouldn't be a yoga class if we didn't practice some balance. This is probably the least of people's favorites, and it's so necessary. Yoga, by all means, is a means to stay independent for as long as we possibly can. Balance is huge for that. You need core strength for balance. But if balance is not your friend, find something that you can lean against, all right? All right, so let's take our right foot grounded down. And then we're gonna take our left knee, bring it up to the sky, open it through that hip. And that connection point, heel to something, and your toes can even stay on the ground if you want. Or you can bring them to the shin. If balance is feeling good tonight, bring it upside the thigh. The point you want to avoid is right where your knee bends, okay? All righty, so once you have that established, really make yourself tall. Think about the whole pelvis coming up higher and higher. Hands can be at the heart. You can have them outstretched. You can have them to the sky. Oop, I just hit my light. You can have a combination, which is what I'm going to do tonight. So you're going to find that your ankle, your foot are always going to be making little micro adjustments. That's what it's supposed to do. Slow your breath down. We're going to take another deep inhale. And just as slowly as you went in, we're going to come out. Shake out those legs a little bit. And then we're going to come back to a brief mountain pose. I just want you to do that to feel, again, the effects from one side of the body to the other. And of course, we're going to do the other side. So like I said, one side might be better than the other. So grounding that foot, that just means really striving to have it balanced. Taking that leg upwards first, open through the hip. That way we don't torque knees. And then decide where you're going to put it. It being the other foot. So maybe this next time around, you want your hands, your arm position is different. That's fine. I'm not going to reach up on this side because, again, I think I'm going to hit my ceiling. Not the ceiling, but my ceiling fan. Feel the warmth of your hands if you have them like I do. Yoga involves such an awareness of all of our body parts that are being used for our poses. I'm going to take another deep breath. And then gently coming out of our pose. Shake out those legs. Maybe move the arms around a bit. And we take our legs wide. So they don't have to be really, really wide, but about the same, maybe a little wider at your shoulders. And then our knees are going to go over the direction of our toes. And we're going to come down into a squat. Your bottoms can stick out because I want your arms to be resting on the inside of your thighs. And we're going to move back and forth, getting into those inner thighs a little bit. If you notice that your knees aren't tracking over the toes, just turn your feet more in, more out, whatever it takes. All right, stay in the same position with your legs, but now you can move your hand to the inside of the thighs. Bottoms can still stick out in the back. And we're going to take the shoulder and move it in toward the center between those legs, and then back up. And then switch sides. So gentle rotation. Whole spine, pushing the shoulders. Switch sides. And back and forth a few more times. One more each side. All right, then you can roll on up. I'm actually gonna turn my light on overhead here. I think I'm getting dark. There we go. I think this light flickers though, so if you see me flickering, don't worry. All right, so we've rolled all the way up. I'm gonna dim it actually a little bit more. Too bright. And all the way back up. All right, so we're gonna turn toward our mat, top of it. I'm gonna take a deep breath, arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold down to the ground. Soft knees if you need it. And open up part way. As you fold back down, take your right leg, step it back behind you in runner's lunge. Take that opposite hip, left leg, and push it back to the edge of the mat also. Take a big step back, downward facing dog. We're gonna bring our bodies to that plane that we were at beginning of our practice. Either the legs stay straight or you bring knees down to the ground. Then we'll all put knees to the ground. Keep your elbows close to your sides as you let your upper body come down to the ground. Straighten your legs out all the way. Move shoulders away from your ears and let your body come up in a little arc. We're gonna go back down to the ground. Push back in child pose. Take a deep inhale breath. Exhale, lift bottoms back up to the sky to our downward facing dog. Look up to the top, walk your way up. Open up to that part way. And exhale to a fold. Now remember, I'm not going all the way because my blood pressure. I'm going to come all the way open. So are you. I should say we all are. Arms to the sky. And exhale down to the ground. We're going to do that other side. Folding first. Open up part way. And then switch. Stepping back to the runner's lunge. Making sure we're stacked and that hip goes back. And stepping big back. Downward facing dog. Our body weight will shift to our plank. Knees can come down. Lower the whole body down. Lengthen everything. Move shoulders away. And a little cobra. Back down to the ground. Push yourself back to child pose, but stay right there. Remember, you can stack hands, you can have them alongside your legs, you can leave them out front, open up the knees if you want. There's so many ways to make it your own, and that's the whole key too with yoga. Even though you may be instructed to do one thing or another, wherever you're at, listen to what your body says and follow that. Uncertainty is okay. Pain is not. We're still in child pose. I know I've moved. I think I lost you guys. I'm going to try to go back here. There we go. Sorry if I lost you guys. May have been my internet connection. All right, so you were in child pose. You're coming up, sitting upright. Again, you can cross your legs if you like. Soften your eyes, soften the shoulders. Take a couple deep breaths. Check in with yourself. And we're to the arms up to the sky, a big breath. You can drop down, right arm, leave your left arm up to the sky, side body bend. Really planting that opposite hip down. Up to the sky with both arms. Reach up tall. And we'll drop down the other side. Side body bend. Back up to the sky. Take one more deep breath. Up nice and tall. Then we'll stretch out the legs long. We call this staff pose. So posture is still nice and tall here. Shoulders are back. Feet had that little bit of a flex to them. So before we go on the ground for our last pose tonight, we do a little bit more rotation. So bending your leg, and you're gonna take that leg and then cross it over the other leg, or you can keep it on the inside. And I say that either or, because you wanna be able to have your foot flat on the ground. Our spine is gonna be tall. We're gonna take that arm, same as the arm that's your leg is stretched out, wrap it around the knee. And then gentle twist. Now I haven't used my other hand, but I'm going to put it back behind me. But I'm not gonna lean into it. It's just there to do something, just to have a job. You could just as easily not use that arm if you didn't wanna be tempted to lean on it. Imagine that your whole spine from the base all the way up. You don't have to involve your neck too much because we have a lot of range in our necks and sometimes we overuse it. I'm thinking more about your mid back. That's where we tend to get caught up and tensed up. Now take another breath. Release everything back toward our legs, uncross. Of course, we'll do the other side. Bend to the knee, either cross or leave it to the inside. If it can be flat on the ground for the foot, that's fine. Give a wrap. You can lean, not lean, but place your hand back behind you for a little support. Deep breaths. And coming back to our centers. Stretch the leg out long. So I'm going to cross my legs and just sit this way, but I would like all of you that are watching to either come into what's called constructive rest pose, and that's where we started out after we were in a seated pose where your knees are bent, your feet on the ground, and you're lying with your back, or full out lying on your back, which is actually what I'd like you all to do, and that's called Shavasana or corpse pose. So you find a position that you don't have to think about your balance, your coordination, your strength. Once you're in that position, I want you to close your eyes and just let your body be surrendered to the ground. Be supported. And then feel the difference of your body now from when you started with us tonight. Still let your breath be intentional, directing it to your limbs, all the way to your toes and your fingertips. For so many of us, being still is such a challenge. I've heard so many people say how much they despise or dislike or whatever yoga because it's so slow. We need slowness in our lives sometimes. We need the stillness. We need the quiet. We don't always have to be doing something. Be grateful for the pause. I'm going to take another couple deep breaths. I want you to start to move around a little bit, livening up your limbs. Move the fingertips, move the toes. Rejuvenate your breath. Deeper inhales and exhales. And then whenever you are ready, I would like you to prop yourself back up. I didn't do a very good job on my beverage here. But if you do have a beverage, you can go ahead and place it in front of you. And once you're all situated, sitting upright, go ahead and collect your beverage. Wow, my hands are so warm, and this glass feels so nice and cold. Another mindfulness, feeling the differences in textures and temperatures. So during these trying times, remind yourself that uncertainty is scary. It absolutely is. And I'm sure that there's certain things that have frustrated you, made you angry, made you scared. But I bet you've also found a side of you that has been renewed. Maybe you've made connections that were a little shaky or lost completely. Maybe you found new things to be grateful for. I think we'll come out of this okay. In fact, I know we will. So join me in raising your glasses. And typically at Timber Hill Winery, this is where I'd say clink, 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 clink to everybody. So to all of you, I'm clinking my glasses to you. But in true yoga, hands come to the heart. We bow our head for namaste. Which means that within all of us, there is such a beautiful light. And with all that goes on in our daily lives, that light sometimes just gets clouded or it gets muddied, but it's there. So as many people that can acknowledge someone else's light glows for them, and it also glows for us even more. Namaste. And cheers! Thank you, Amanda, for letting me do this from the comfort of my home. Ah, good wine.